Hello, everybody. It's Reed, host of Sneak Attack here. Wanted to take an opportunity before the episode got started proper and just kind of let everyone know what's going on with the future of Sneak Attack. And we know that we've been off for about 6 months due to COVID-19. Um, there are new family members, new babies, and just been evaluating the future of the show throughout all of this chaos and throughout all of this uncertainty. And I just wanted to let everyone know, so you heard it from me here at the beginning of the episode, and there was no confusion as to what's going on. But unfortunately, Sneak Attack, the podcast, is coming to a close, and I know that's gonna I know it's gonna be tough to hear for a lot of people. It's tough for me to say it right now, to be totally honest. Um, but we we all kind of got brutally honest with each other and said we had a conversation about, do we see the show coming back? If so, what does it look like? Lives have changed, the world has changed, and just what does it mean? Like, what does all this mean with Sneak Attack? Um, and that idea of returning back to normal. And we talked about it, and ultimately it was decided that we just weren't ready to resume the podcast and to get back to that state of normal. And so we decided that if it wasn't unanimous, that we weren't going to continue the podcast anymore. And it wasn't unanimous to return. And then that's that. And I want to make it clear right now that no one person at Sneak Attack is to blame more than others. Like I said, we all agreed that this would be a unanimous decision, and or we wouldn't continue, and it wasn't a unanimous decision. And so we all knew going into this conversation that this might be the end result, and we were okay with that because we are extremely proud of the stories we've been able to tell for the last 5.5 years here at Sneak Attack, and just so immensely proud of the community that's built up around the show. That has been the hardest reason, like the hardest thing about this decision is thinking about what this will do for the community. And I don't want to give any false hope and say that this is a temporary thing where, oh, as soon as COVID is behind us and everything looks like we're in the clear, that we'll get back to normal, because that's not the plan. The plan is that this quarantine content episode, is the last episode of Sneak Attack that we plan on releasing for the foreseeable future. And I know a lot of you also now might be thinking, well, yeah, we got Volume 1 out of it, but we were right in the middle of Volume 2. What's going to happen with that? Well, I'm extremely excited to talk about some plans we have for Volume 2. Even though we were not able to finish the story via podcast like we would have hoped and planned, and that's our dream, myself, Mike, and our illustrator, Adam, are actually hard at work on a graphic novel, a full-length, full-color graphic novel that will finish the Volume 2 story and give some resolution there. We don't have a ton of details to share right now. The plan is to do a Kickstarter in order to raise distribution funds and production funds and things like that. But we don't have a ton of concrete details that we can share right now. So what I would like everyone to do is please, please, please continue following us on socials, continue following us on the podcast feed, continue being subscribed, because I will post updates as to the status of the Kickstarter campaign and the graphic novel as a whole, so that you can stay up to date with how Sneak Attack Volume 2 will end. And this is the ending. Like, I've already kind of written it. I have the outline all planned, and I know how the story ends. And this is the ending I was planning on telling through the podcast, with a couple minor variations. But so I want everyone to know that there isn't some dramatic like bait and switch. It's not a completely different story than you're expecting. And I really do think that if you're a fan of Volume 2, you will really enjoy the graphic novel. It's obviously a different medium for storytelling. It's much more visual than it is written, which is just the nature of it. But I think between myself, Mike, and our illustrator, Adam, we have the potential of telling a fantastic story through this medium. And I'm really, really proud of just what I've seen so far from the three of us. And so while I know that this is definitely a disappointing conversation to have, I hope that it's not all bad news, because there really is something great to look forward to. And like I said, we'll have more information on the graphic novel and what that looks like and the timelines on that at a later date. So please, 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 just stay subscribed, stay continued, stay following us, because I really want everyone to have that opportunity to experience the ending of Sneak Attack Volume 2 the way I originally foresaw it when I was coming up with the idea for Volume 2, 2 years ago. So anyways, that's just a little update on how things, on the future of the show. For our Patreon supporters, again, nothing but the absolute most amazing, sincere gratitude for everything you've done for us. I will be suspending the Patreon at the end of this month, at the end of September. I don't feel comfortable continuing leaving it open and collecting any funds at all, even if it's even with the Kickstarter coming up or the graphic novel in the works. I don't want to continue taking Patreon contributions with the state of the show and the way it is, and I just don't feel comfortable about that. And so the plan is to shut it down before the end of the month, and yeah, so regular updates will happen via the podcast RSS feed as well as on our social media platforms. But that's it. So sorry for the bad news. Again, this has been a super difficult time, a super difficult decision for us to have to make. But we hope that you understand our heart in it and understand that the reason why this decision was so difficult is because we only were thinking of the fans throughout all of this. So thank you guys. We hope you enjoy this a little bit different quarantine content episode where we, rather than taking clips from the fans, we decide to reminisce a little bit about our favorite moments as the cast of the show. So thank you guys. How's it going, everybody? What is up? My name is Reed. I'm the host here of this Sneak Attack group. All around me, we've got people. Everyone say hi to our fans and viewers. Hi!
Hello. Hello.
What is up? Welcome to the latest episode of Quarantine Content here, brought to you by Sneak Attack. Obviously, as you just heard with my little intro here, this is the last episode of Quarantine Content and the last episode of Sneak Attack, which is a big feels bad. We're all very sad. We're all very heartbroken.
Bad for now, Reed. Can we just say, is it okay to say for now? Is that or like the last podcast episode of Sneak, or would it be unfair to dangle anything in front of anybody?
I think that's what I'm trying to avoid, is the dangling. I don't want to give false hope. At the same time, I'm not saying that we'll never do anything Sneak Attack related again, but I definitely just don't want to give false hope that, like, oh, they just need more time. That's not what this is about.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah, but whereas in the past, with all of our other quarantine content episodes, we decided like we would listen to clips as submitted by you guys. But what we're going to do this time is actually talk amongst ourselves about our favorite memories from Sneak Attack, from the 5+ years of us doing Sneak Attack together. And so the way this is going to work, and I apologize in advance, if you can tell, for those of you on the YouTubes, my backdrop is a little different. I recently just moved, actually just yesterday. This is the first device I got hooked up to my brand new internet connection. And I'm my sprinklers are running and my fiber isn't buried yet, so I'm just waiting for everything to crash. But I say all that to say that we don't have clips. I don't have clips. I'll take the ownership on that one. I don't have clips of the moments in the episodes in particular queued up exactly right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to inject them in post. So it might be a little weird if like you hear a clip and then we talk about it and we get some facts wrong, which is highly possible that we get some facts wrong because it's been 5 years and you guys know our stuff better than we do. Let's just be honest here. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to hang out We're gonna reminisce. I'm probably gonna cry, but it's because my allergies are really bad today. I promise. And yeah, that's
Shoved
the
your
plan.
head into some dandelions. You know you did. You were like, I gotta have.
I know. I
reason
need
to
a
cry.
cover. I need a good cover story. Mike's already got the tissues ready. So, all right. So, what I want to know. Let's start with Dan.
Hmm.
Dan, when you think fondly, back in our time with Sneak Attack, what, in your opinion, like, what's the first thing that jumps out? What's a memory that jumps out to you that you're just like, man, that was really great?
All right, so no joke. Earlier this week, I went back to the archives, and I started re-listening to our show from episode 1.
Dusted off the track.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Go back to the tone.
I just started like skimming through, listening to different bits, and I cannot believe how far we've come. on the backs of our listeners. Like, I remember that first recording session, sitting down. I think it was a folding table in your kitchen.
It was 2 tables pushed together, one of which was a folding table. Yes.
I had never met Kelsey prior to that.
Well,
yes,
no,
you
we
have.
did
Yes,
we
you
did
have.
we did a practice play.
That's true. We did
Oh,
we did
yeah.
we did a test
You
episode
facts checked, Dan.
at Josh and Kelsey's apartment, I think, or
Yeah.
some.
Yeah.
Yep, it was
in
our apartment.
Yeah. Oh
Because
man.
Mike and Josh went at each other.
oh
Yeah.
Can't even let him
man.
have his memory, guys.
Sorry, continue, Dan.
I just remember sitting down in front of the microphones, being incredibly uncomfortable, and not knowing how any of this was going down. And then it was just like, boom, we're off. And Josh and myself had to talk to each other for the first time as our characters in the back of that wagon. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. And Josh had his established Greg voice already. We're like, oh man.
And
This
yeah,
is gonna-
Q
this is
was
gonna
just
be
like,
wild.
I have a name and a character sheet and nothing else for a Keo.
I'm human and I'm Asian, just like me in real life.
Some kind of conversation about fish or something like that.
You know,
Yeah.
the driver smelled like fish.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, the driver had like wiry white hair and he smelled
That
like
was-
fish.
That was back when Reed would give us a description of an area, and then our first dialogue was just to call out the description he just gave us.
Right. Because I was like, he smells like fish. And Greg goes, oh, he smells a little bit like fish, doesn't he? and Akio was like,
The room's dark and damp, and we're like, guys, this room's pretty damp and dark.
that's, I mean, have you guys stopped doing that? I'm not quite confident.
No,
that
I
you
have
ever-
actually intentionally done that as T. Every time you describe
Yes.
something,
Oh,
T puts it back.
I've definitely picked up on that as well, which I think is great. It's funny, Dan, because the very first thing I keep thinking about when I think back to our time of Sneak Attack is that first recording session.
Mm.
It's us because we even back then we started doing two episodes per session.
Yep.
That's from the very beginning we decided to do that. And I remember I was at like the head of this awkward conjoined table, and I had Dan to my left, Mike to my right, and then Josh and Kelsey were at the actual real table, and we had microphone stands on the table. They weren't like
Mhm.
affixed like with an
Mhm.
arm, so you heard every single noise that would possibly happen on the table. Everything got picked up because it was super sensitive, and and we weren't listening at the time, so I didn't know how it sounded while we were going, and the whole time I just remember. We started with Dan, I think is who kicked it off when I went like, let's go around the table, and Dan said Akio and not Dan,
Yep.
and that was the moment. Like in that moment, everyone decided, oh, I'm saying my character name.
Yeah, it's like our format happened so naturally.
Just right off the bat. If Dan had said, hi, my name's Dan, and I'm playing Akio, everyone else would have followed suit.
Mhm.
Said,
And if you'd have gone to me, Reed, the guy who had been listening to several other D&D podcasts to try and get an idea for the format for editing, I would have done what everybody was doing.
Yep.
Which every other podcast out was like, my name's this. You can find me on this Twitter. I
Yep.
also am playing this character. Here's what he's like. But the fact that Dan just gave his character name and needed to be prompted for anything else, it was like it set the tone.
that was
Oh.
literally the best decision I think for the entire show. Was that split second moment where Dan just went.
It's
And he said, He said Akio and didn't say anything else.
It's funny you say that because when I re-listened to that last night, I was like, "You idiot! He was asking for what your real name was."
No, I wasn't, honestly. I was just like, this is my responsibility. I'm Reed the DM. Let me just tell you who else is joining me at this table. And Dan just said Akio. I think he said a human wizard. And I was like, awesome. Like, that's exactly what we need. And none of this convoluted. Let's just like Josh was saying, I work here and I do this for fun. And these are my hobbies. Like, who cares? That's not what they're listening to this podcast for. And we didn't even know it. Like, we would have easily fallen into that if it wasn't for Dan just being awesome. And I remember we ended with Sherwood saying Sherwood Mossbeard, gnome druid, and I said the man, the myth, the legend.
Yep.
And
The gnome, the myth, the legend,
or something like that. Yeah, that was also I still see people comment Sherwood, the myth, the legend, just because. And I was just nervous. Like, I just said it because I was like, I need to fill time because there's silence. All right, the man, the legend. All right, let's move on. Blah blah blah. I'm so nervous. And
he fulfilled that title by the end of the series.
That's true. Very legendary.
I feel like for a while we had a running shtick. I don't know if it was on the podcast or if it was just behind the scenes about people not knowing Mike's real name or his identity.
Oh, no details. It was for the longest time, I feel like.
Yeah. Because he wasn't active on Twitter and because we had introduced our character names and he was the last one to reveal his real name on podcasts.
Right.
So,
and birthday too. That was a thing.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Everybody knew everyone else's birthday but Mike.
Well,
I just remember
Mike.
back when we didn't want people to know our names, and Reed was like, "You guys all suck."
I have no choice.
Or where we lived.
Yeah, we told people we lived in Phoenix.
Albuquerque, yeah.
Yeah, Albuquerque.
That's awesome. I live in Phoenix. Where are you guys at?
It was like, we don't. Sorry, buddy, we don't live in Phoenix. We're South Phoenix. It's like you've probably never heard of this neighborhood at Providence. Yeah,
It's a new up and coming neighborhood.
Yeah,
2 Denny's. No, Mike, since you've been the most reclusive, I think it's only fair on this last episode that you give everyone your social security number.
Fair enough. 5.
Oh,
I knew it.
Fill in the rest.
I'll give you, how many is the social security?
Let's go. There's a 5 in there.
Yeah, so give us 7 of the numbers. Don't tell us
It's 9.
in which one. It is 9. Give us 7. I meant 7, and then we have to guess the last 2, but we don't know where they go in the sequence. Someone will figure it out. Big brains out there.
Every social security
I think a program can figure that out.
Yeah, that's why it's good to have a long password, not a complex password. It doesn't matter if it's password 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, which don't try that for my accounts, guys. That's totally not my password. But it's just the length of it that makes it tough to crack because it's always
Reed,
computers that try.
Is your
So you're
password
telling us
just
that the length does matter?
In this instance, yes. Kelsey,
Reed?
what?
Is your password just read?
It is 15 times with a smiley face at the end.
I mean, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8.
Yeah.
No,
Read.
He gets to work and he goes, "You is important. You is kind."
No, it's great.
He
I
was
just copy.
smart. He was kind.
I just copy my name and then I paste it in a bunch of times and then eventually go. Anyways, first episode, and I know that's not even a highlight. That's probably a low light in the global.
Highlight, Dan, or did you just start talking and we all kind of took it and ran?
No, it's like you gotta go back to the origin, see where it all started, see where your roots were, and that was fun.
I'm gonna try and find some of the old photos because I think Josh snapped some pictures, or my wife did, of us in my kitchen when we recorded the first episode.
Do you remember when she was with us every episode?
Yep.
And we just had her. She'd sit on the couch for most of it, looking at her phone, and then eventually we'd be like, "Take some pictures."
Yep.
And she would laugh, and Reed would get really mad at her.
Yep. There's still some episodes early on where you can hear her laugh in the background, and I get so enraged every time.
And I do
like
love
silence, wench.
We can all laugh if we're Mike.
After 5 years, she's still in our group text thread.
Yeah.
I've kicked her out like so many times, and someone keeps re-adding her.
The only one who likes my jokes. She's the only one that goes, "Ha ha, Josh is funny," and I'm like, "That's right."
Yeah, no,
That's 'cause she's
Don't
nice.
you forget it.
We all just know you too well.
Yep.
You know
No,
when I'm
funny to
trying to
us.
make a joke. So it's like it doesn't even matter if the joke's funny. You just know that I'm trying, and you don't want to laugh at it when I'm trying.
I'm saying I think it's Kelsey who re-adds my wife to the text thread because I've
I'm
kicked her out
pretty
like
sure.
3 or 4
pretty-
times.
Pretty sure Mike re-added her once.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Mike, you and I need to have words.
Come on.
Speaking of Mike, let's dive into one of your favorite moments.
Okay, I'm very prepared for this.
Great. I did in said group thread, I did say that we were going to do this.
Okay. And what's your point?
Not
You should have
arguing.
known. I'm glad you put it there, Reed. I usually don't read it, so
I know
Shame on you.
You're the only person who doesn't respond on the regular, and I have to
No.
text you individually say, "Please respond." You're creating more work for yourself. by just not thumbs up.
I mentally go, yes, I will be there, but I just forget to respond.
It's like a couple. Anyways, what's your memory there, Mike?
My memory, I honestly don't know, but I'm gonna wing it because that's what we do here.
Yeah.
What can I say? So I have very fond memories of getting to play a new character because kind of going back to the beginning that Dan was kind of talking about, Sherwood is just basically me. And that's not really RPing when you're just playing yourself. So it gets kind of like, as we started leveling up and being like, hey, and getting to Josh's level and then exceeding him. Thank you. I have surpassed him. We all know it.
Mm-hmm.
He peaked and he never got better. And then I overtook him. I'm just going to say it. I overtook
Towards
Josh.
my ceiling.
Yes, you peaked. And I've been
Picked up the
training.
mantle.
I picked up. I'm gonna get him. So I was very excited to play Milo and try a kind of different voice because I can't do voices, so basically a kid voice. But it was very fun to just start fresh and not play the character of yourself. But thank you for everybody for being very gracious with me as I played myself as a gnome druid. You all are very nice. So that's my fond memory.
Even early on, you are still like people's favorite character.
You're just a fun guy though, so you being you was still super fun.
It's a lot of self gratification. Like, if you like this character, you like me as a person.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
true.
true.
I actually that segues into mine perfectly.
Here we go. You're welcome, Kelsey.
My moment that I actually submitted with a timestamp to read, I'm pretty sure I get points for extra credit for that, would be from the Halloween episode early on. It was actually Mike's first time really RPing because he knew that the note didn't actually say, "You're a doo-doo head." But he rolled poorly, so he had to pretend like he believed that the note said that he's a doo-doo head. And he was so mad that he had to pretend.
What is this? RPing you're making me do?
Yep. But he really came into his own. Yeah, he came into his own, and then I accidentally turned him against Greg a little bit because I said Greg wrote it, and he went with that too. I was just really proud of you blossoming into the role player that you are today, and that was really the first moment.
What's the line?
Without you guys.
Yeah, what's the line Sherwood says? Like, I don't want to go with him. He says, I think I'm a doo-doo head. Or something like that.
Yeah.
I remember playing Milo and getting very conflicted when I had to be very very cheery. And I was like, I hate what everybody's doing. And I would like to say that in my character and as Mike. And I'm like, yeah, okay, wow, yes, Josh.
I feel like I intentionally pushed that. I feel like I tried so hard to annoy you, knowing that your character couldn't be annoyed because of what you'd already set up. Oh, it was funny.
That actually kind of segues to one of my favorite moments. And Josh, we'll get to yours here in just a second. But one of my favorites is Gary's Gouda. That was one of those things where that was like a last minute 0 hour kind of like idea I had where I wanted something that was like not a regular bar or tavern, with a cranky tavern owner or a cranky barmaid or anything like that. Like I wanted something the total opposite of that. And then my brain just went like, well, what's the opposite of like a rundown divey bar? And I just said Chuck E. Cheese. Like that's clearly the opposite of that. I was like, okay, I love this. How can I make this happen in a fantasy world with no technology? And so like it's like a whirlwind of like typing and just getting my thoughts on my Google Doc sheet before we went to record. I think I literally wrote it like I got home from work. I wrote it for like 15 minutes. And then when I went to record on that Tuesday or that Thursday, and like, so I was just, and like inside the restaurant, I was just riffing like what games were available. The claw machine was the total, like just made up on the spot. And just Milo's reaction to everything was like so perfectly how I envisioned it would be. Just like he had the bucket full of tokens and he was just dragging it around and was so excited. He made that little gnome vomit because he wanted that stuffed animal so bad. Like it was one of those rare moments where you have this idea in your head as a DM of how you want a scene to play out or how like what in your mind you think it could be, and it just perfectly hits all those beats. And that was really fun for me, just seeing like something develop in what felt in like an organic way, but still exactly how I had kind of envisioned it in my head. I always really enjoyed that one.
Good memory.
What about you, Josh? What do you got?
I was just gonna say to tag on like with you and Kelsey's, the particularly the Halloween episode I feel like was kind of like kind of a breakthrough episode for us. Like it was one of those things I think after we did that episode, like after it was out and we could listen to it, I remember for me like as like the editor listening to it and being like, this is a different level. Like this is like so. I think that was the episode where we realized like, oh man, we have something here. Like we split the party. We had our own little side things. The puzzles were amazing. It was just so creative and fun. And I think we were like, man, like this is, and Kels, didn't you say it was the first time you and Mike kind of like teamed up on something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just like, it was so fun, like foundational. But real quick, Reed, before I say my thing, this will really probably only mean a lot for the people who are watching, but I found the photos.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. So, can you guys see this?
Yeah, Dan, if you hit watch stream and then like if you full screen them, Dan, that way they'll be on the recording.
I tried to share it live, but yeah, that's at the table, and I got more. This is just where it starts.
Yeah, that's the house I just moved out of. And those are the two tables. And there's the attic. Ooh, the non-painted attic. Wow, it looks so different.
Look at that.
Right?
We're just a bunch of kids.
This is 2015, by the way, guys. These are photos.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
This is amazing. The table is covered in a carpet. That's my favorite. Is it covered in like a big giant green piece of fabric?
Yeah.
So the dice wouldn't make loud clanging noises when we rolled them. Gosh,
I don't even.
Reed looks like another person size bigger. Like he's just like
I was a lot bigger then, and I'm big again now, but I'm still not that big.
You're still thinner than
Yeah, I'm still thinner. Ooh, Dan with hair.
Hair. Oh.
Hair on the top, no hair on the face. We've got a different Dan nowadays.
Mike, your hair is slicked back. What's that?
I don't know, just greasy, I guess. Real greasy guy. He's working at the auto body shop. Dan, nice hair.
Dan,
what is you doing, baby?
Dan.
Enhance?
Is that a toupee?
You look like you're wearing a piece.
Everybody missed this in our audio because Dan was constantly making faces. And when you heard any of the three of us starting to laugh out of turn, it was almost always because Dan was looking at us and making a ridiculous face.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Dan, you actually look like you're wearing the world's worst toupee.
Oh my god.
Look at that. Get you a man that looks at your DM like Mike.
Oh, busting out the ukulele.
Wait, Dan, are you just holding
Dan, come on.
Danny. Oh.
Dan is holding
Danny.
a package of ramen noodles for no reason. When I say a package, I mean still in the plastic.
Really into character. Oh my
Oh.
gosh. Oh,
That's-
Oh
that's
gosh,
us.
I'm so glad Josh does not do the bandana thing anymore. Oh, bless it.
I gave up on bandanas. We don't have to go through all these. I just thought it was
Wow.
really fun that I found it.
That's
Man.
great. That's awesome.
Who had the best
those
glow
are back
up?
in the. Yeah. Look at that Mountain Dew sitting by you, Josh. Remember those days?
Oh,
You can
Josh.
see it. You can see all the Mountain Dew surrounding my body.
Yep, there's one behind my DM screen too. There's one behind my DM screen too. Wow.
Yeah. I bet we get another funny face from Dan. Hold on. Just one more. Read. There we go. That's when he drew the saw that was going to cut my leg off. Very
Wow.
important. All right.
Fantastic.
Thanks for letting me share that.
That's great.
Uh,
That's great.
So the moment I picked Reed is actually on the opposite end of those photos. It's the end of the end of volume 1.
Mm.
And the moment I wanted to talk about or remember was, to me, it's when it's the last real conversation that you and Kelsey roleplay together, like where like we hadn't, I can't remember if it was you and Kelsey. It was this moment that people would swear was pre-written and scripted.
Mm.
At the end, the like kind of the end of the episode where the group kind of all decides like we're gonna go on one final quest to find Sylvana, and kind of like it was in memory of Sherwood, like as we had just at his like, and so it was this really like, and I remember afterwards being like, did you guys talk about that? Like, was that like what we were gonna do? And it was just you and Kelsey riffing, and to me, those were the riffing is what made some of like the best moments in our show, and the fact that we were also willing to play along and to play along in the story, to play along with our characters, and like it just ended up creating such really cool. And by that point, the character development was so deep, the world building was so deep, like it was just like it happened so naturally that no one would have known that it wasn't how it was supposed to end. You know what I mean? Like it was just
Right.
like, but it gave it such a great like. It's so dumb, and I'm gonna try not to get emotional, but like I have, my mind just lives in fantasy so much. I love just thinking about characters and thinking about things, and in like the same way that like my teddy bear Bubba, like I'll get emotionally upset when I think about having forgotten him in the car, even though he has no feelings. Even though our characters aren't real, there's this part of my brain that just feels so happy thinking like they're out there. You know what I mean? They're out there. They never stopped adventuring together and
Right.
like questing, and they're still out there looking. Like it makes something in me feel very like content and satisfied, you know, and warm. So that's one of my all-time favorite moments.
Yeah. That one to me is yeah, that's like a testament to, I think both Kelsey and I in that moment were feeling like the way it was tracking, it didn't have like a really great like final little bit, and that's honestly,
You told me you tried not writing one because I don't think you wanted to.
yeah,
create, like, a hard end.
I wanted to keep it kind of ambiguous, but in the moment during the session, I just knew, I was like, this isn't landing quite right. And then Kelsey was like, well, why don't, you know, in character as Brent, like, well, like, why don't we go find the book? I was like, yes, like that's it. And then it kept building off that. And Sherwood had a son named Reed, and I thought that was hilarious. And we spelled it REED, just like the plant, because we thought that was fitting. And yeah, the epilogue, man, that was that was crazy, because we recorded the epilogue, I think, the day before the finale released. And so we knew we had obviously something special with the finale. And I went back and I listened to probably an hour's worth of the finale not that long ago, maybe a couple weeks ago. And I was just like, man, this is so good. Like, it's so stupid good. And the edit was perfect. I thought, like, obviously the outcome was poetic and great, and Mike's contribution to with the wish spell was just amazing. And like, I don't know, it's just like I couldn't believe how well it all kind of came together, and I got emotional listening to it again, just because it had been so long since I'd heard it last, and then yeah, to be able to like kind of have that in the back of my mind when we went to do the epilogue, or I feel like I might have those times wrong, but I still feel like the epilogue was right around the release time, and I was just like, man, this is a really great 1-2 punch, like way to end the show. So, yeah, it's the finale. I think will always, I think, just even if the finale like didn't achieve exactly what I wanted to, I still feel like it would hold a special place for me, just because, by that point, Josh and I, we'd been playing D&D for 3 or 4 years, 5 years maybe. I mean, like, not a super long amount of time, but like based on the tenured veterans out there, because there's just people who've been playing forever.
Yeah.
But I mean,
we were even playing a game outside of Sneak Attack. I think I was DMing a game, right, for
Yep.
you and a couple of our friends.
Yep, and yeah, because I first started a 4th edition game with you guys, and obviously everyone remembers Dustin, and
Wait, who's that?
and so, like, for us to be able to make the podcast and have a campaign that lasted 3 years, and to give it like an actual resolution, I think that was the best part, just for me, because none of our other campaigns, and as a player, as a DM, as anything, we'd ever actually gotten like we'd never ended a campaign before. And so this concept of like, well, how do we end a campaign? It was such a foreign, daunting task for me, like in that process. But I just know I knew at the table that it was something special, and the fan response to it is something I will never forget. Like, I could literally just like drag and refresh my Twitter timeline, and I would have 10 new mentions or 10 new notifications the day that came out.
It took us 3 years to tell a story. Like, you think about it like that. Like, that's a long time to tell a story and to be in a story.
Roughly 160 hours worth of storytelling, all leading towards that one final conclusion. I mean, like, even think of it this way, because like, I'm notorious. I'm the guy who loves to plant things in the story or in the world or anything like that super early on, and then have those things be important at the very end. And so, like, I remember episode 4 when you guys first saw the statue of Valasar in Norwich, and like had no idea what it meant, had no idea the importance of it. But the whole time I know there's a crystal in there, and that crystal is going to mean something. And the Prince of the Apocalypse, they're trying to work with that crystal. They go in there every week and they try and mess with that crystal, and they're trying to figure out how to use it. And like, it all just like came together in such a way. I was like, to people will even be like doing second listens to volume 1 presently, and I'll still get Discord DM, like messages in Discord or Twitter DMs, or it's something like that. Just be like, there's so much stuff. There's so many dots I missed connecting the first time around because of just how layered it was. And of course, 160 episodes or 160 hours, 156 episodes. It's just so much content. You're just swimming in information.
And it's different when you think like, because some people are binging through it. Like, I think we had someone say they went through all of volume 1 in like 1 month, which is seems like,
I can't believe that,
insane. But for them, it's, you have a different vantage on the story. Like, you can hold so much more in your mind because it just happened. For us, it was drawn out over 3 years, so those connections seem so distant when you look at it in the course of that many, of like 150 weeks. Like,
I think that's a really difficult thing to like, not to get all like here's how to DM 101 sort of thing, but like, if you're planning a story, that's one thing that's a really difficult tightrope to walk. Because I like I just said, I love those little nuggets, those little breadcrumbs. But for me, I know the story in advance, and so when the reveal has to be special for you guys, 100 episodes later, be like, aha, the statue, and you're like, wait, well, there was a statue back then? Like, I don't even remember the statue, and I go, dang it, I did a terrible job like keeping your interest with the statue. And so it's such an interesting. It's such an interesting dynamic to be able to tell a complete story and share it with the world. Like, to be able to, because millions of people play D&D, but not like, no one gets to experience what it's like to have a complete beginning to end campaign documented for posterity. And that's just such a just such a great thing to be able to share that with the listeners. But kind of going, actually, Josh, you were saying earlier the Halloween episode, it had that weight to it. It had that, like, the first time we're like, oh, we've got something. I go back to just about any of our like themed episodes. You know, like the
Mhm.
Christmas episode with Josh, that intro you wrote for the song. I mean, that's still people. Someone just on the Sneak Attack Discord. I lurk there very regularly. I hardly post anything, but I see things all the time. Someone is going through volume 1 for the first time, and they're like, "Oh, it's a Christmas episode. Should I skip it?" And everyone's like, "No, you cannot skip it." Like, it's not only is it story relevant, but it's got like some of the best moments in it. And when it opens up with that song you wrote, like, it's that to me is one of the greatest
I kind
things
of
we've ever.
co-opted a song. I didn't really write the song.
I mean, you wrote
You
the
wrote
lyrics.
the lyrics.
I wrote
Yeah.
the lyrics. Yeah. But yes, I that was super fun. The whole process of that happening behind the scenes is one of my favorite memories personally.
You wrote it like in secret, and then we're like, "Hey, I have this idea. Can we do this?" And to me, I go, "That's amazing. There's no way we do this. Like, I don't think it's possible to get this done." And you're just like, "Give me just like, let me try." I was like, "Okay, you can try. I don't care." And then you came back with this like this epic. I'm just like, "What the heck? How on earth did you produce this?" And
All I wanted was a thumbs up, and I was like, "How much do I have to get done before I ask Reed if we can do it?" So that because I was like, if I do enough of the work beforehand, he'll either feel too guilty to tell me no, or it'll already look good enough that he'll say yes.
hey, that's setting yourself up for a win, baby. It was legitimately like that intro is one of my favorite things because I feel like it just dawned on me why I love it so much, and not because it's not it's great, because it is, but like I feel like that was one of the only times I myself got to feel like a listener. Whereas like, because you just did it and then came to me with the track, and I go like, this is amazing, and it just happened without my involvement, and I love it so much. And
I feel that way as a player. I felt that way as a player all the time, Reed. Like the stuff you brought to the table was always so interesting, and it heightened our curiosity and made us so intrigued. And the little details you'd give us, and but that episode, by the way, is fantastic for so many other reasons than just the intro track. Like the puzzles, the gingerbread man, the little do you guys remember the little stabby elves? And
Oh, yeah.
they have like a rhyme or something.
yeah,
that-
they sang a little song because they started out looking cute and innocent, and then they had
turn evil.
candy canes. They had candy canes that they broke in half and turned into shanks, and we're gonna shank you guys. And then of course, who can forget the ice dragon Randy?
Randy.
Gotta get that
I think-
scale.
That's right. The scale of Ciceranax or Cyrenax or something like that.
Yeah, like you gave the super epic name to like the other dragon, and then the bad guy dragon is just
Well, technically,
Randy.
they just call him Randy. His name is Ranthraxis, the Chill Plague of Death.
That's right.
But they call him Randy because that's too much of a mouthful.
Nobody had to shorten Cyrenax.
No, he's like a good dragon. You know, he's
Yeah.
like a helpful dragon. So
Yeah.
I feel like you can kind of take away a dragon's power if you give it a lame name. You know, just call it Randy. Sorry if there's anyone out there named Randy. That's really mean.
We're just sorry to everyone named Randy in general. We're just
There you go.
sorry you got named Randy.
There you go. Dan, what about you? You got any other juicy memories?
Character episodes. I
Oh,
thought that was like such a fun and unique way to introduce the listeners to a side of our characters that they wouldn't see otherwise,
yeah.
and to be able to tell a story outside of the main narrative thread, and give our characters, I mean, put a little bit more skin on the bones. Those were always super fun to make, super fun to listen to. Yeah.
I just know, like, what I loved about them is just how different they all are.
Yes.
Because Josh came out the gate with just his like spoken word thing, like the narration, which was so strong. And I was just like, wow, this is really good. Like, this is curated, well written, well thought out story. And I was like, man,
treated it like an audiobook. Like we had the
Yeah.
little, like intro thing, the like Sneak Attack Productions presents an
Well,
audio.
yeah, and it starts with like you even did like the vocal effects, like the door slammed, you went like thud. You know what I mean? Like that. I think that's how you opened and ended that episode. And
Yes.
and then I was like, man, that's so cool. It's just such a different take on like the audio drama format that we've done for the podcast. And then Kelsey comes at it a completely different angle. It's like, I want to do this like parody show. It's like,
Yep.
okay, that's really weird.
Behind the music. That
Yeah.
episode got so many like social media call outs. Like people loved it.
It's insane. And again, it's one of those things where the idea that Kelsey had was so like married to the execution, because your way of just like getting the little snippets of songs and then leading into like a narration and then fading all the music together. Like you could not tell from an outsider that we weren't listening to an actual episode of Behind the Music. And I think just because if it would have been just like a half done, like, oh, we kind of got the vibe,
Right.
like that episode would have felt terrible. But because like the execution was so spot on and the story was so tight, it just made everything feel like that much more just like grand.
Yeah, I felt like if we were gonna do something, we weren't gonna like half do it. It was like we were
Right.
gonna go full bore.
And I think out of all of them though, I think Mike's was my favorite, just for Sherwood, because that one was, I think I edited that one, so it's probably not my favorite. I still like Josh's one very much, but I edited
Like
that
Mike's
one,
a lot.
and I remember I was like, okay, we've got this David Attenborough style like vision for this documentary, and like we witnessed this thing, and I was like, okay, cool, it's going to be epic, it's going to be awesome, there's going to be all these sound effects, there's going to be all this stuff. And I spent like 20 hours on the edit, and the episode is only 12 minutes long. And I think that's like the biggest thing. I was like, there's so much time spent on this edit, and it's 12 minutes long. And so, but it's like, it's such a tight 12 minutes.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I don't know. I love how it came out. I love how it came out. I wish that like when we were writing it, we just like made it a little bit longer to like justify all the time I spent on that edit. Felt
It could have
bad.
spent more time if it was a little longer.
I know, I know, but man, and that's honestly like that episode, because I wrote like Mike wrote the outline and then I turned it into a script, and I remember Mike sent it to me and I just went, holy crap, this is incredible. He did the same thing that you did, Josh. He created his own lore for it. Like
Yeah.
he created the Evergrove. He created that
built out some of
idea.
the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when Mike sent that to me, I was like, oh, this is incredible. Like, of course, my gears immediately start spinning of all the different things I can add into the game because of it and add into the greater story. And so when when I wrote the script and then it turned out to only be 12 minutes long, that actually helped like define how I wrote future things.
Once you got a sense for time.
Yeah, because like Chip's character episode for Volume 2, significantly longer, and that was a direct response to the fact that I still feel bad that Into the Evergrove was shorter than I would have liked. But Chip's episode also, by the way, I think, again, I'm gonna toot my own horn a little bit. I think that's the best thing I've ever written, hands down.
Punch in the gut, man. That was
Yeah.
like I had to like go like do something to make myself feel happy. After that was it was very well produced.
And I know someone is actually working on an animation for it.
Really?
Yeah, someone DM'd me. They were like just asking me different questions, and I actually got a version of the episode without your narration, Josh, so that they can animate it without it. Yeah,
Yeah.
without the voiceover. So, very excited to see how that turns out. I don't know, Mike. Like when you are coming up with these ideas, because I've referenced now 2 of your character episodes. Like, what is your process for like ideas or themes or things you want to land on when coming up with this, like outside of a normal episode idea?
Yeah, I think the Evergrove one is funny because it was like the first time collaborating for myself on anything like that. So it's like I don't even know like where to start. And I think even working with you on that, Reed, on just building it out, but I think like I started like describing like I went through and like, okay, so there's like Goliath trees and then I like sent that and you're like, this doesn't mean anything. Like, I don't know how we're going to like do. And I was like, okay. So then I was just like, here's like the major points that I want to hit, I guess. And then Reed just does a really good job of filling all that in. And I think when we did Chip's episode, I had like a very just hitting these points where I just like, I want this to happen, but then I think I sent that to Reed, and then I was on the Google Doc, and I might have said this before, but I just saw Reed just going to town on this thing, and I'm just like sitting back like, yes, go for it. Go, make it. And then like the next morning, it was like Christmas. I was like, this is like 30 pages. And I think I wrote like half a page, and that's like double spaced of like, Chip forgets this. There's a space hippie character, and then the kid dies. You know, it's probably more than that, but the very like big beats where I'm like, I see all these things, but I don't know how they connect together. So
you and I had dinner a couple times where we talked about like where we saw Chip kind of like after the Chancellor like refreshed his mind or like took away his inhibitions, and kind of like did that hard reset on you. Those old memories started flooding back, and so we talked about like what those memories were and how Chip would react to starting to remember like, oh, this kid I was great friends with, like I was almost like a big brother to, he died because of me. Like, what does that mean to my emotional state? And then we were able to work a lot of those themes into the character episode, and then Chip in game, after his mind got freed, was able to kind of play off of those emotions, even though we hadn't even heard the character episode yet. So it was just really fun, like almost like it was a foreshadowing, but of a previous event that we were in the process of writing. Like it was this fun little back and forth.
Right,
and
I think
that's the Mike level role playing that we've come to expect.
That's it.
Just saying. I think what Dan was talking about too. I think those character episodes, it's like a nice pause because you're like, man, I wish I would have thought of this at the beginning. You know, like, oh yeah, and this was happening. Like Josh level planning out lore, where we're just like, yeah, this is my character. I only know like probably a week in advance of what this character, like that's the backstory, like a week ago, and then we have like a time to pause and be like, okay, all this stuff has happened, let's kind of start filling some stuff in and giving us some like, oh wow, there's like a lot of meat here now.
Right.
And then, I think it just helps the story, and even for me as a character to be like, okay, wow, this is like a really cool thing that now I have so many more options and just some more interactions you can do inside of the story.
Yeah. It is great because every single one of you, all four of you, have informed the campaign at large based on your character episodes, and I still am like, I'm a little bit upset that we'll never get to see T or Lucky's character episode. I'm actually quite upset about it because I know T's backstory and I know Lucky's backstory, and I know just how great, if we had the time to flesh those out and work them into the campaign, how great that would be. And actually, we see a little bit of both backstories in the upcoming graphic novel. A little spoiler alert there. But we see just a little glimpse at how they came to be the characters where we meet them at the episode 1 of volume 2. So
can I tell you what I was thinking of, like creatively for the character episode?
Yeah.
Where my mind was going was letters to his father. So that like I was gonna tell the story through one side of a conversation, and it'd be letters like from Lucky to his father, kind of like talking about how life's going, what's going on, and then referencing things that his father sent him in the letter of return, and like, or like eventually like, haven't heard from you, kind of just like getting to some of the, like hinting at the elements of what occurred, but through that kind of narrative device. That was what I was thinking. Yeah. But,
yeah.
But yeah, it would have been fun, and I would have probably written way too many pages.
Speaking of too many pages, man. Like I remember one of the first the first memories I ever have of Sneak Attack is before we'd even recorded our first episode yet, and I was writing the history of everything, and I talk about like I just wrote the lore and the backstories and all that stuff for the world months before we recorded. But what I did is I sent every character like a breakdown of history as it would be important to their character. So like for Brenna, I gave history of the elves, what their culture's like, why they are the way they are. And for Greg, I gave a history for the dwarves. And I admittedly spent more time on the dwarven history than any other one because I knew it would mean more to Josh and inform his decisions the most. And I sent Josh this history, this Google Doc, and as you guys know, I broke down like the history of Brannis in 5 ages, or in ages, and there were 5 ages up until the like where the characters enter. And so I sent it off to Josh, and then like 30 seconds later, I get a video text message of Josh on a selfie video, just going, 5 ages. There are 5 ages. He's screaming because there's so much lore and content.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, he was. I think you were at the office, and you were just like you selfie cammed because you had it pulled up on your computer, and so you just selfied yourself like reacting to how much I had written for you, and you were like freaking out.
I knew immediately, Reed. Like as soon as we decided we were going to do a podcast, I knew immediately people were going to listen to it. Like I was so confident that it was going to do well. Like I was just as shocked as everybody when it actually did, but there was like. But like there's this thing in me that was like, I know this is good. Like I know we've got like all these people coming together to sit at the table, and the stuff that you were writing, I was like, how can this not be something special?
Oh yeah.
You and Dan were the same way then, yeah, because like I was obviously much more skeptical. But Dan said the same thing early on. He's like, dude, this could be huge. And I said, I don't know. I mean, like I think the podcast will more just be for us and for friends. And Dan, and you guys both said, no, this could really be something substantial.
It's funny because we're both there in our minds. Like we're like, a lot of people could be listening to this. And my response was to come with a voice and just double down into the craziness. And Mike just got, Dan just got kind of quiet.
You know, that's how it goes.
I think it was Reed, but I remember somebody saying, wait, as soon as you talked as Greg, they're like, you gonna do that for the whole show then? Are you committing to that right now?
I think I also wanted to be somewhat of like a lightning rod, and
yeah.
it was an ongoing like problem sometimes in community dialogue where people would think that like I'm being abused by the rest of the party. But I egg it on and I ask for it because having an Eeyore, you know what I mean? Like having a Jerry, like somebody that you can kind of direct all that stuff to, it's part of a good group. And I love it. It cracks me up, man. It makes me laugh playing that character.
Right, the character. Because surprisingly, like after 5.5 years, guess what, guys? We do still love Josh. Like if we didn't like him, we would have kicked him out years ago.
And so, I could have left. I'm not I don't take abuse quietly. Like someone's gonna be mean to me, I'm pretty dang loud about not liking it. These people, I've loved this group. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's actually funny because you mentioned the fact that like you knew people were gonna like us early on, and I was thinking about that too as I was preparing for this recording. I said another memory that kept popping up in my mind was when we were in Colorado.
Oh.
I don't know if you remember that. And
how could I forget?
So Josh and Kelsey and my wife and I, we went to Colorado on vacation for a week, and it was right after the podcast had launched. Like right after I uploaded one episode from our cabin.
It was the same month. Yeah. It was like maybe week. Yeah. It was right then, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I think I uploaded episode 5, if I'm not mistaken, from our cabin. So that had been 4 weeks since we officially launched because we did the first 2 episodes on the same day.
Yeah.
And so I mean we were super early on, and I know we were all just like had no idea whether or not anything was going to go. And I'm not a guy who checks numbers. I can't do it. I won't do it. I get too obsessed by them. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to check downloads. I'm just going to like, I'll check downloads when I upload the next episode. That's what I committed to. Because
I asked you every single week.
You asked me every day.
For sure, yeah.
And you were like texting me iTunes chart placements and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. But
I'm way too obsessed. But that's part of the journey.
Yeah. So I remember we were in our cabin and I uploaded it that Friday morning or Thursday night, whichever one I did. And when I was in there, I saw our like download figures, and I stopped. I said like that can't be right. And so like I pulled my computer out into the little communal commons area that we had in our cabin, and I like sat down at the table and I showed. I was like, this says we have like several hundred downloads for just the last episode. That was like episode 4. I was like, how on earth do we have 620 downloads when we've only been out for 3 weeks and we're nobodies?
Yeah.
We have no following socially. We have no really online presence, but people, and like it was the swing was so dramatically like it just kept, every episode was just getting more and more downloads and attention. And then that one time we dropped on the iTunes New and Noteworthy
page. Yeah.
we were on the front page of iTunes, and then we exploded.
That's like a one, like I don't know that I ever have. I don't know that if I ever really acknowledged it then, but like that was a once in a lifetime thing. Like at least it feels like. I hope it's not. You know what I mean? It'd be cool if it was not.
Right.
But showing up at the front page of a major platform, like it was huge.
You didn't even have to scroll to see our logo. We were on the front page of New and Noteworthy. Like that when there's been a few times where Josh has texted me something and I go like, I cannot believe it. Yeah, he's texted me a screenshot of it. And it was that. And then the time where MKBHD was wearing our shirt.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like,
text you that too?
I
called you.
You called me.
And I said, get on your computer right now.
Yeah, he's like, do you follow MKBHD? I said, yeah, like obviously. He goes, you watch it? Have you seen his latest video? I said, no. You have to watch it right now and keep me on the phone. So like I was in front of my computer and I pulled it up, and literally like the first thing you see is him in our shirt. Like that's how it opens, and I go, what is happening? Like it's one of those things where it's just like it'd be like Robert Downey Jr. just looked into the camera and said, "Hi Reed, how are you today?" As like that's like the level of brain disconnect from reality I felt right there. I was like, this is a huge established presence online. Like everyone, if you like tech or you're into technology at all, you know who this guy is, and he's wearing our flipping shirt, and I have no idea why.
This guy has who's the guy who runs Tesla? Why am I forgetting his name?
Oh, Elon Musk.
Yeah. He's got his cell number. You know he's got his cell phone number. Like they have so many conversations.
He's had multiple interviews with Bill Gates. He just had one with Mark Zuckerberg. Right. This is a guy who is well known in many industries, and he's repping our brand.
Yeah.
Like
real quick,
and again, props to Mike. That is
Mike's smiling over there, and he's like, "This is really my victory, guys."
It is. I mean, like the 620 downloads for episode 4. Again, all of that is attributed to the fact that the mark was so strong right out the gate.
We had a good mark, but we kept that. Here's the thing: is like, I feel like we had a good mark, but people stayed, which is what made it snowball. Like instead of just episode 1 being the end of it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like people jumped in, and I gotta say, Mike, the design was perfect, and we have seen it be recreated by
and mimicked. Yeah,
so many people now, where it's like, yeah, Mike and some dice. Like but that was like the definitive. It was the first one. Like nobody had put that out there. Definitely not in the D&D spectrum. And D&D
definitely not.
Was not as big as it is now in 2015.
It was such an underrepresented genre in podcasting. There was like 4, and only like 2 of them were good.
People were still suspect of whether or not podcasting was a thing to invest in. In 2015. Like
now you got Joe Rogan, like multi-million-dollar contracts. Yeah, like
right.
Just insane.
Yeah, but that logo was amazing, man.
Yep.
Do you remember what kind of when you put it together, like how it came about?
Yeah, I think well, even like the name, Sneak Attack, it's kind of just like
what do you do with that?
It feels so generic, like in the space. Now you're like, hey, what's a move? Sneak Attack? What is this? Mike and a D20 just together, and you're like, it's just like an iconic thing. But back in the day, we had no idea what. Like, I was like, so what's it about? And you're like, well, I'm like, what's the story? Because I think we were gonna do Heroes of High Rock at some point, and I was like, I'm like, I don't know how to do like this sort of like Adam style illustration, which I was like comparing it, and I was like, I don't know, can we? So I just did this mark, and I don't even remember the conversation. It was just like, yeah, this looks good, and then we put it up there, and Now,
Reed,
now
Reed
it's
just
now
wanted
it's everywhere.
Reed wanted a title that had a D&D thing in it.
Mhm.
That
But I
was
didn't
it.
want it to. I didn't want it to be called Dungeons and something.
Right,
Right.
like what were some Critical Hit was already out there, Critical Role was already out there. It was like there were a couple like D&D terms that we couldn't use, and
Right.
so that was you guys eventually landed on like, well, sneak, it's like it has nothing to do with our story, but it's a D&D terminology. You know what I mean? That nobody's taken yet.
Right.
And no rogues when we started.
Yeah, we had no rogues,
No
which was another
rogues.
thing. So no one could even do sneak attack on sneak attack. It was the best thing. Yeah, I just want something quick, rolls off the tongue, and is memorable. And that, well, guys, do you remember Sneak Attack was not our original title?
I do. I remember the original title.
Yeah, it was called A Bard's Tale.
Yeah.
Because we had this idea of Kelsey like giving a song style intro to the last episode, every single recording, and of course that is a super unrealistic goal. Props to Bombarded for
It's like now we have a podcast that literally
does that. Yeah,
Yeah.
so like props to you guys.
with
and
a full band.
Literally the reason why we didn't end up naming it A Bard's Tale is because there is a video game series called A Bard's Tale. And we're like, well, we probably shouldn't do that. That's like obviously a little close to home. And so, but the first 2 episodes of Sneak Attack, I recorded saying, hello and welcome to this week's episode of A Bard's Tale. And I had to re-record that intro saying Sneak Attack before we published the first one.
And then episode 3, you remember episode 3?
I mean, I remember it as
Where we lost your audio and we had to it was episode 3 or was episode 13? It was an episode.
I was gonna say I don't think it was that early. I think it was 13.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I remember we totally lost Reed's audio. All we had was like him at a distance and everybody else.
Because I forgot to turn my mic on.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, it's not that nothing malfunctioned, but our old microphones had on-off switches, and I literally just forgot to turn it on.
And Kelsey and I are at home, and I remember Reed came over to record, so it's just him up in the attic, and we're downstairs, and I can hear him just talking to himself.
So I had headphones in of the previous recording, and so what I would do, I would scratch record it, and so I would hear myself at a distance and being picked up by someone else's mic, and then I would just start talking, just repeating what I had said in the same cadence, the same like meter, the same emotion, and I would do that like with a second delay. And then try and just time it up like it so to make it as easy as possible on Josh. It was
No, I can't tell which episode it is because you can't tell. Like it's the funny thing is though, you're up here by yourself, and I remember like standing by the stairwell. I can hear you, and you're like, "That's a great idea, guys." It's just like it was just so funny. Like you like trying so hard to be in the moment. I know. Like the real Reed is sitting up there so pissed at himself that he's having to do that at all.
Dude, because we had that early traction, I was just like, I don't want to disappoint anybody. Like we can't have bad audio right now. We're on an upswing. Like we got to do it. So I just committed. I said, all right, like I'm gonna ruin my night, and I'm gonna go do this thing. Man. But it ended up working so well. I just can't believe it.
Yeah.
Okay. As we wrap this thing up, and I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and for listening to this. I want to talk about what is, I think, probably my favorite memory from all of Sneak Attack, Volume 1, Volume 2.
For audio listeners, just so people who aren't watching the video, Kelsey's had to take care of the Diana, so she's stepped off. So she's
been gone for about 20 minutes, just as we're not ignoring her, I promise.
She's been muted.
But what my actual favorite memory has been all of the times we've gotten to travel and meet listeners.
Yes.
Not even podcast related, like not like actually at the table recording. It's not related to a recording. It's us meeting Candace and Therese.
Very, very special.
Shout out Therese.
And these people who loved Sneak Attack so early on brought us to New York, and we're like, why on earth did you fly us here? We are nobodies. But Candace was like nervous to meet us. And I was like, I'm nervous to meet you. What on earth is happening right now? You can't be nervous. I'm nervous. And then just
over
like
there, like an editor-in-chief on a website is like sitting down being like, I'm so excited to talk to you guys.
Yeah. And we're like, why do you know who we are?
Yeah.
She's interviewed major like film and TV like personalities. And then she's interviewing us. We're like, we're not at that level, but like, that's not the point. People just had that much of affection for the show. And it was so it just the community that's been built up around this show, and it's continuing to build. I mean, like I said earlier, I'm on the Discord. I see what's going on in there. It is a thriving place, man. It is.
Despite like huge setbacks, big gaps of time that weren't always planned. Like, remember when we ended Volume 1 and you were like, "Well, everyone's gonna go now," but like,
Right.
lo and behold, like nobody left. Like, it's like everybody stuck around and was still like excited and invested for Volume 2. The engagement is remarkable.
Yep. And then the opportunity Kelsey and I had to chat with Greg Tito, Shelly Mazanoble. Dragon Talk was again one of those once in a lifetime things where I get to talk with the people who work at the company who make D&D.
When you remember Kelsey went to
she visited their headquarters.
She went to that. What's the city it's in?
Seattle or Redmond, I think, or one of the two.
She was there. Portland. She was there just. It was like she was close. You know what I mean?
Yep.
On a vacation with some of her friends, and gets a tweet at her being like, "Hey, come by the office."
Yeah.
And so like, which is just like another world, right? Which is like, out of all of us, the one who's played D&D the least was the one that gets the office invite. That's just the best.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, she was the coolest of us all.
That's true.
No,
It's
unquestionably.
Most clout.
So, to like for Greg and Shelly to accept us into that community, and of course give us the signal boost was insane, huge. We doubled our downloads literally overnight.
Yep.
But with going on Dragon Talk and just being able to talk about Sneak Attack, and then of course then going out to Alabama not once but twice. Justin, Caitlin, you guys are amazing, incredible people who I consider not only like fans but friends. And then all of the people we got to meet down in Hoover is just, I mean, it's insane. We walked into our first meet and greet, Josh Kelty and I, and we're like, there like maybe some people will be here. Like, again, we're a pretty like unknown quantity.
Well, our last experience was like 5 people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like in
New York.
New York, yeah. So it was like which was still like we were on top of the moon.
We
you know
were
what I mean?
happiest
like
people in the world.
with just that experience at New York. So coming to the next place, we were like, we didn't know what to expect.
Yep. There were people lined up waiting outside this library wing, just wearing our shirts. They had merch. They had books they wanted us to sign.
9 books, yeah.
Some of us were in cosplay. Like, that's one of those moments where you have to take a step outside of your body for a second and just go like, I need to soak this in as like deep within my core, because I will always remember this experience, this moment of rounding the corner and seeing people cheer, not just be like, oh, hey, it's those guys. They were happy to see us. I go like, man, this is something special.
A lot of gratitude. Just a lot of gratitude.
This community that's been built up around Sneak Attack is something I will never, ever once take for granted. Never,
we would not
ever.
be where we are
No.
if it wasn't for them. 100%.
No. So
the people who are super invested, like, to me, they've helped define what Sneak Attack's become as much as the cast.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Yep. Anywho, I love you guys. The fans are the reason why we've been able to do this show for 5.5 years. And the reason why this decision has been, probably one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make in my life. But we just know that whatever is in the future for the 5 of us together as Sneak Attack, as Orc Dad, as whatever, if the time comes when we're able to get back together again, we just know that we'll be excited to do it because we have you guys as fans looking forward to it and being right there with us. So
Definitely.
So.
And we're all still friends. Like,
we're all still friends.
Like, the truth is, there are some. I'm not going to talk about any in particular, but there have been some shows in this space that like implode on just drama, and so it's cool that we've done this for so long. We all still love each other and enjoy being together. You know what I mean? This isn't ending because we're tired of hanging out.
Right. Yep.
Or we don't feel like we can't play anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's just it's a novel day. There's a lot going on in the world.
Yep. Well, I think that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. Appreciate you all very much. Nothing but love, nothing but respect. Again, you guys just mean the world to us. I'll speak for Kelsey on this one too. We just know that there's just so much love and respect and gratitude for this community. We can't say it in words. So thank you guys. My name's Reed. I'm the host of Sneak Attack. Let's go around the room. We got
Dan.
Mike.
Josh.
Thank you, everybody. Hard hands.
I can never do this. My hands are too small, guys. I just have to make a circle.
Circle hands.
Circle hand. Come on with Josh.
It's for
Circle
the
hands.
one half is the mic and one is the dice.